What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is going to be a Paladins Ultimates tier list. Just kind of your fun, chill kind of video, just because right now, at least Paladins kind of in a bit of a downtime. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't really have much to upload until Season 5 drops, until I get on like the huge grind game for videos for you guys. Just in a downtime, and makes sense to upload these more funner videos. Got a ton of requests to this type of tier list, so what now better of time to do it than right now. So if you guys like these types of more fun, just chill tier list videos or these nature type videos, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, share the video. It would really help me out. This is going to be for all the champions, all the way up to Azan. The new champion 7 will not be on this list because we don't even know his entire kit right now, let alone his ultimate, and he's not even revealed fully yet. He's still in the process of being teased, so but he is probably going to be in the game, depending on when you see this video. Keep in mind as well, before we get into this, I will not be taking any talents into consideration, because I know there's certain talents in the game that actually buff and kind of change ultimates. This is going to be the base ult as it is, just as is, whatever the ult is. So keep that in mind as well. I will not be taking any talents or like alterations that talents do to certain ultimates into consideration with this list. By all means, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Leave your own mini list or like whatever you guys want to say down there. We'll be replying and looking at most of the comments. I also do stream Paladins, Smite, Apex Legends, and a bunch of other games. So if you guys not want to miss that, feel free to subscribe if you are not, so you do not want to miss when I'm live, and do not miss it. Especially with the start of Season 5, you guys are not going to want to miss any of that type of stuff with the launch of the new season, and especially for Smite with Season 9. So we should be here in about 2.5 weeks. Let's get right into this. Accursed Arm. Accursed Arm, going to go right into Great Tier. Really solid ult, 1,000 damage. You get, what I think, was it 3 shots? 3 or 4 shots? They do 1,000 damage each. I'm actually going to look right now. I think it's 3 shots. Actually, does 4 shots that are all 1,000 each. So if you land all 4 shots on somebody, you're doing 4,000 damage. That's a really solid ult in my opinion. Really solid ult. Going right to Great Tier. Just gotta put it right there. I think that's really good. Androxus has always had a really solid ult, so kind of just gotta keep it right there in Great Tier. Next, we got Assert Dominance, which is Ashe. I don't know. I think it's kind of meh. It's kind of meh. I think the duration's a little bit not long enough, if I'm being honest, especially for a tank. Kind of just overshadowed by a lot of the other tank ults right now. There's a lot better tank ults in the game. It's not bad. It's not good. Kind of just meh tier right now. I know you do get the 1-second stun as well if you dump it on somebody's head and dump it right on top of somebody that's standing there, but just kind of your meh ult right now. Not really too great. Just your average. Next, we got Atlas. That's Exile. I think Exile's good. It's not great. It's good. It just comes down to what team you're going against and if you can actually land and get value out of it. It comes down to what type of player you are. Next, I got Barrick's Dome Shield. Going up to, I'm going to put it in good tier. I don't think it's broken tier. I really don't. It used to do a lot more damage back in the day. I think they nerfed the damage a while back. I think it's just good right now. I think it's just kind of the same as like an Atlas ult. You throw it down on the point just to save yourself. Usually when you're at low health, people walk inside, they take a shit ton of damage. Either that or it gets blown up or knocked down by another ult and countered by another ult in the game or in your match. Bomb King's King Bomb. Great. Going right to Great Tier. Something that does 20, I think it's 2,500 damage, or at least 2,000 damage. I forgot the exact number of damage. Stuns people out, and I think it's a 1 to 1.5 second stun and does that much damage on an ult. Really good. You can argue if even top tier, but I think it's just for like a damage ult. I think it's definitely great. So you got Buck Wild. I don't know, you don't really see much Buck being played. I'm going to put it into May tier. I don't know. Like, his ult's kind of vulnerable. Like, if you can get a steamroll, it just comes down to if you can get a steamroll off your ult. If you pop your ult and you can't do anything with it, then it's usually useless half the time. It just comes down to if you can actually use it and you use it really well. It's not one of those ults that you can just really pop and just use and get a ton of value out of it every single time. Like the ones that are in Great Tier, even good tier. Kind of more situational. It's kind of just average. Cassie with the Scout, I think it's really good. I'm going to put it in good tier. I could put it higher, but since it doesn't really do anything apart from an 8-second reveal, I think it is. 6 or 8-second reveal. I can't really put it much higher. It's really self-explanatory, but being able to see what the enemy team is going to do at the start of a point fight or like a point push or pretty much any time on the map whenever you need the reveal, really good. Reveals are really good in the game as well right now. So you got Corvus with the Entropic Breach. I'm going to put that as at a good tier. Does a shitload of damage. If you drop it onto tanks, it actually is percentage health based, and it also does slightly slow people that are caught around it. So it does do a ton of damage, especially to tanks, so you're going to usually end up dumping it onto a point where everybody's standing. It does a shit ton of damage and also has a really good slow. A really good ult is to use and just kind of throw out. It's pretty spammable. It does charge really fast. And overall, it's just a really good ult. Just your good tier average support ult. Up next, we got Dredge with the Kraken. And I want to put it in good with how much damage it does, but it just never lands. If you can land Krakens, then by all means, I'd probably even put it in like great tier because it does 4,000 damage and it does have a knockback as well. But I don't know. I just can't put it any higher. It does a shit ton of damage. Actually, I don't think it does 4,000. I think it does like 20. I think it might do 2,000. It used to do 4,000 back in the day. I'm not sure if it's still 4,000 or if it's down to, they might have nerfed it to 2,200 or 2,300 now. I don't know. Either way, like the damage number doesn't really change much. With how much of a delay there is on it, unless you're going against a bunch of like noobs or losers that just have no sense of awareness at all, you're never really going to beat in kills. Dragon Punch, going to top tier. One of the best ults in the game. Instant execute on anybody apart from a Fernando with Immortal. Insane. Insanely good. Anything that has an execute is really good as an ult. It really is. And it's going right to top tier. Drogoz, I don't know, probably still, he's always had one of the best ults in the game. Instant kill on anything is insanely good. So you got Eevee with the Ice Storm. Her ult, Ice Storm. I don't know. It's really spammable, and it depends on what talent you use, but just take into consideration that I'm not going to be taking into any talents into consideration in this one. It's just your base ult as is. I'm going to put it down into May tier. It's kind of eh. It does cripple. It just comes down to if you can actually capitalize on it. Like, it gives a huge slow and a cripple, and it doesn't really do much damage, but it's kind of just one of those ults that you can just get in and try to capitalize on. Fernando's Immortal. Top tier. Really good. One of the best tanks ults in the game. Being able to prevent death and anybody going down below 1,500 health for a duration is insane. Really good. Especially if you get into your higher tier plays and if you actually know how to play Fernando and play around his ult even more, it's really good. One of the best tank ults in the game. And one, if not one of the best ults in the game. Up next, we got Inflame going right to top tier. Probably one of the best support ults in the game. Doesn't get affected by Cauterizers. No way to counter it at all, apart from just waiting out the duration and playing into it. And that's all you can really do. Has really no counterplay. One of the only support ults in the game that has no counterplay at all, and apart from just waiting out a duration and kind of playing around it while everybody's inflamed. Gets the movement speed boost and the damage boost. Really good. Fury has always had probably one of the best sports ults in the game, if not the best. Going right to top tier. Tempest for Grohk. I think Grohk as a character his entire kit is awful and needs to be reworked, but his ultimate is actually probably the best thing about him. I'm putting in a good tier. Get a huge movement speed boost, and you get a heal that ticks every 1 or 1.5 seconds. I think it's 250 health or whatever it is. Whirlwind. Crazy good. Whirlwind's crazy good. One of the best support ults in the game. Even more so recently when they changed it to where if you stop and cancel your ult quick enough, you won't use 100% of your ult charge. And if you die, like at the start of your ult, you will not automatically lose all your entire ult charge. That quality of life change, that made it even better than it currently is. One of the best support ults in the game, especially if you know how to use it correctly. Amani's Dragon's Call. I want to say it's better than May, but it just comes down to how you set it up. I don't know. I'd say I'm going to put it in May tier. If you can set it up good, it destroys. I can probably put it in like Gray tier because it does so much damage and you're at least guaranteed 1 kill every time you throw it up. But if you throw down your dragon in the middle of like 5 people going after you, you're going to die instantly. You're going to get no value. I can't put it higher than a May tier. Seismic Crash, which is actually getting buffed next patch. It's actually going to have a slightly less delay before it actually hits the ground and actually stuns people. Whether that'll make it better or not, I don't know. I feel like it just takes too long to charge, and it just comes down to whether your team can capitalize off it or not, because Inara doesn't do enough damage to the point where she can actually really utilize it herself. It's more of a team play ultimate. I think it's good, but I don't know if I can put it any higher than good. IO with Be Gone, legit trash. One of the worst alts in the game. Be Gone is one of the worst alts in the game. It really is. It's one of the worst support alts in the game. Nobody can change my mind. Probably one of the worst. Like, it needs to be entirely reworked. If I'm being honest, rework IO's ult. Really, it does 800 damage and it knocks you back until you hit something. The only way you get value out of this ult is if you're about to die and you can get a kill with it, with something that's under 800 health and having to get like a really clutch kill and save yourself. Or you knock somebody off the map with it, and that's really rare, and it takes a lot of skill and a lot of coordination, like just map awareness to actually make that happen most of the time. Genos, through time and space, great. It's going to great tier. It's going to great. With how much damage it does, and if you can land it, it's pretty much an instant kill on whatever gets in it that is not a tank. Any squishy in the game gets killed by it, and I mean, I guess it depends on items. If they're building a bunch of veteran and like Haven, maybe they won't die, but if you're just talking about the start of the game or you target certain players, usually an instant kill on either a support or like a DPS or a flank every time. So next we got Khan Overpower, going right to the top tier, one of the best tank ults in the game. Being able to pick somebody up and just throw them off the map or pick them up for your team and just let your team kill them for you. Unmatched potential and unmatched viability. A Headhunter with Kinessa. I think I'm going to put it in great tier. I can't put it in top tier because there are some times where you'll pop an ult and you'll get blocked by a shield or something. But the majority of the time, you do so much damage where you at least get one kill every time with the Headhunter. Charges really fast and it does so much damage. Especially if you land headshots, you're pretty much one-shotting any squishy in the game. And probably like at least 3 or 4 hit KOing a lot of the tanks that don't have shields. So up next we got Kolga's Cyclone Strike. Not good. It's just not good. Like, yeah, that's the problem with it. Like, you can use it. It does a shit ton of damage. Like, the one time you can get away with it if you're going against, like, low health targets just to finish stuff off. But if you're using it as, like, a damage ult and just going in with it and to, like, start off a fight or just use it like a really offensive ult, you're going to get yourself killed. Because we got the Law going to great. Instant execute, it's insane. If you got an execute ult, it's insane. The only reason I'm not putting it higher is because it gets blocked by shields. That's the only reason I'm not going to put it in the top tier, unlike a Drogoz ult, which goes right through a shield and doesn't matter. But that's why I'm putting it in a great tier. Anything that's an execute's really good. Next, we got Lian Enlightenment. If it did have the damage immunity, I'd say it's really good. I'll put it into a good tier, though. I don't think it's above a good tier, just because half the time you'll end up dying during your ult. And if you don't get a kill with it, it's kind of a waste ult. It does a decent amount of damage. I think it does 1,600 damage now, or whatever it is. I used to have damage immunity for 1 second at the start of your ult. I'd probably put it top tier then, but ever since they took that away, I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Maeve's Midnight, going right to top tier. One of the best flank ults in the game. Really good. I know it gets countered by resilience and stuff, but if you're forcing a team to buy items just for your ult alone on your team, then you're doing your job. We got Ancient Rage for Makoa. I don't think his ult's that good. I really don't. I don't think it's that good. They buffed it recently, even with Leviathan. I don't think it's that good. It used to have CC immunity during your ult, and it was way better way back in the day, and then they nerfed the shit out of it, along with everything else about Makoa, and he's just been garbage for like at least 2 years now. Same with his ult. Going right to top tier. One of the best support ults in the game. Really, really good. The Fear is great. Charge is relatively quick, especially if you're constantly healing and even doing like chip damage. It does charge pretty damn quick. Really good. And you can win entire team fights based off of a Dread servant that's really well placed and gets a ton of value. Moji's Bon Appetit, garbage. Just like Moji herself, her ult is also garbage. There is no reason to even pick Moji for her ult. And that's if you can land it. Like, anybody that at least has one brain cell and has more than one IQ is not going to just let you run up to them and land a Bon Appetit and transform them into a treat. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. I don't know. Moving on, we got Octavia's ult, Creeping Barrage. I mean, with talents, it's a little bit better, but it as like a base alt, I don't think it's that good. It doesn't do enough damage, and it doesn't really move fast enough. The problem with it doesn't really do enough damage. It takes a while to charge up, if I'm being honest, and it doesn't really do enough damage. It's kind of just a chip damage alt, and you're not really going to be following up on kills with it just because it either the damage from it gets healed because it moves so slow and the damage goes so slow, or people just walk out of the way of it and avoid it completely, and it's really easy to avoid. As you got Pip, Evil Mojo, top tier. Probably the best thing about Pip is his alt. Being able to turn people into chickens with 1500 health for, I think, 5 seconds or whatever, 4 or 5 seconds. Like, I don't know the exact time, but like just that itself, like that's really good. Cataclysm, Rom's alt. I don't know, with how much damage it does, I think, 999 damage, I think that's how much it does. Like 1,000 damage, and it charges insanely fast. Not even with an alt, like, or even with a talent. Like, even at the base, alt charges insanely fast. I'm gonna put it into great tier, just with how spammable it is, and how much you can make plays off it just because of the stun, and the really solid amount of damage it consistently does. Fire, going into good tier, I don't know. The one thing, it comes down to if you can actually set it up right. Like, you move so slow, you kind of have to have somebody in front of you. If they move out of the way, usually if it's somebody with mobility, they're going to run right away from you. You're not going to be able to kill them. You're lucky to at least get 1 kill with X-Fire most of the time. Unless you just run into somebody's backline and, like, destroy them and drop it on somebody's backline with their back turned and they don't see you. Maybe that way you can get a bunch of damage and a bunch of value. But if you're just talking about the alt itself, usually people run away and avoid it, or you just move so slow during your ult you can't move at all and you're stationary pretty much, where people will just target you down during your ults and just turn on you and destroy you. So I'll put it in good tier with how much damage it does and how much potential it does, but I can't put it any higher. Convergence, which is Saris alt, I'll put it into good tier. It's one of those alts that's pretty spammable, and you can make plays based off of it. If your team capitalizes, even if you can capitalize on it and get like 1 or 2 kills, it's kind of a playmaker alt. I can't put it any higher than a good, though. Kind of just your average support alt. Sha Lin's Heat Haze, I think his alt's actually solid. I think Sha Lin's alt is actually solid. You get that increased fire rate, and you got invisibility and movement speed, which is really cool. I think his alt is probably one of the better things about it. Sha Lin. Time Bomb, Skye's alt, I'm gonna put into May tier. It's just meh. It's just meh. Usually, if you can get kills with it, it makes it better, but usually it's just mainly just damage. Because you got Flashbang, Strix's alt, garbage, needs an entire rework, one of the worst alts in the game for any DPS. It's awful. Strix's Flashbang is goddamn awful. It is really bad. Needs an entire rework and just needs to be removed from the game. I think Strix is even better off without an alt, with how bad it is. Half the time you throw it at somebody, they won't even get a full blind. If you throw it too high or too low at their feet, it'll actually go onto the ground. It'll explode on the ground, and it won't explode onto them, and they will not get blinded half the time. Half the time it does not go off. It'll get hooked on a wall, and it'll go off on the wall. So it doesn't matter. It's awful. Really extremely spammable, especially with loadout cards, but really bad alt. Insanely bad alt. Now it's True Power. I don't know. I'm going to put it in meh tier. If you can kill somebody with it, you get real good value. But if you going against people that at least know what they're doing, they're not going to let you sit and die of one person. If you can single one person out, you can get a kill on them, then it's good. But most times, people are going to group up and expect your ult and expect you to teleport to them, and just to try to target somebody down, like a support or like a certain person on the enemy team. They're not going to let you freely do that without either getting killed or sending you right back to your portal and making you respawn. So up next we got Reincarnate, which is Terminus' alt. When it's not bugged, and actually works correctly, I'll put it in great tier. Tiberius Blade Dance, I think it's meh. Mainly just a damage alt or a way to get out of a bad situation. Like, half the time I pop a Blade Dance, I'm really low health, and the rest of my team either dies around me, and I'm like the last one standing, and I need to get out of a really bad sticky situation. I'll pop it, and I'll just cut my way through the sky all the way back to my spawn or to safety. Usually you're going to be using it as that, or like mainly like a damage alt, to where you can go in, get 1 kill, and then just cut your way out and get out of out of the fight. That's kind of what it really is. Hyper Beam's legit trash. It's garbage. You get no value out of it on like 90% of the maps. Torvald's garbage himself. So if you're playing Torvald, then you're kind of just throwing to begin with. The only reason like Hyper Beam would be any good is if you're playing like a map with open sides. Like parts of Stone Keep that you can throw people off the map. Frog Isle. Like what else? What else? Other maps? Timber Mill, I guess. Like half the maps are closed though. Like you're just gonna be pushing people into a wall, and that's about it. You hold people up to a wall for like 5 seconds, knocking them back, and then they'll get brought back down and instantly kill you, and they'll turn on you. So if you don't knock them off the map on those types of maps, that's the only really reason that the ult would be good. Fish Market as well on that types of maps. Knock somebody off the map, apart from that's garbage. Tyra with Crossfire going into good tier. I don't know. Half the time you can get value out of it. It just depends what you use it. 90% of the time, either somebody's going to run away from you. If they have mobility, they're going to run away. Or they'll throw shields in your face and they'll just wait out the majority of your ult. Apart from that, you can just melt a lot of people. It just comes down to when you use it. And it does have a lot of counterplay, which is kind of holding it back. I'm not going to put it any higher than good tier. Raj going to great tier. 3 pellets that do 1500 damage each, usually guaranteed at least 1 kill, especially if you can catch people off guard and drop it onto them and at least do a shit ton of damage. Like at the very least, you're going to be at least doing like 2,000 to at least 3,000 damage in that range. Sentinels, not good. They get destroyed way too easily and they don't do enough damage. They got nerfed into the ground, and the only upside with Vivian is you can actually charge 2 at once. That's the only good thing about Vivian is you can charge 2 ults at once while having them out around you with your current Sentinels and then charge another one up after they die. Either you get killed or they get destroyed. That's it. Otherwise, they're not good. They're nerfed way too much, and I think they need an entire rework. They're awful. Up next, we got Vora and the Harbinger's Wrath, which is actually getting nerfed next patch, and it's actually currently bugged on the PTS when I'm making this video. So if they do not fix the bug, it'll actually be worse, but I'm going to put it into gray tier right now. If you can get a kill with it, like I said, the execute ults are really, really good. If you can get a kill with it, it's a guaranteed kill every time. If you can't, then I'd move it down, but right now it's actually bugged in the PTS. Whether that goes live into the live game for Season 5, I don't know. Hopefully they fixed it, but it actually did get nerfed for Season 5 as well, which makes it a lot more difficult to use. But taking into consideration we're not in Season 5 yet, I'm going to put it into good gray tier for just how it is right now. Up next we got Fae Flight. I don't know. It's not good. Playing Will.o herself is already not good. Her ult isn't much better. Next we got the Maw Hungers or Devour for Yaghrith. It's actually getting huge nerfs next patch for Season 5, but the current patch I'll put into gray tier. If you can land and you can get a kill every time with Devour, it's really good. Being an Illusory Rift, going top tier. I know it's affected by Cauterize, but it's still really difficult to play into, even with Cauterize. You're getting a constant heal every 8 seconds every second for 8 seconds. Really difficult to play into, and probably still one of the best support ults in the game, even with Cauterize being a thing. Zin's ult, which by itself, with no talents, keep in mind, no talents, not with Guillotine, with no talents at all. It's going into not good tier. I don't think it's that good. You can't really kill a squishy because most of the DPS or flanks in the game have 21 to 2200 health, and they usually at least run some HP cards, so that leaves them with a couple hundred health afterwards where they can either get a heal or survive. And without talents, I don't think it's that good. Azan, Vatu, Ray, and Sati, which for all those, which I'll probably just rank them right now for you guys real quick. Wallbang, I put at a great tier. Especially even getting buffed next patch, it's supposed to be getting buffed. Right now, it's really spammable, and you're at least guaranteed a shit ton of damage every time you use it. So I think that's at least considered great tier for me. You got Vivify, which is for Ray. I'd put that right into top tier. Still one of the best support ults in the game. Bringing a tank from pretty much 0 health all the way up to at least 75% health. Still insane. Plus damage immunity for like I think it's 1 or 2 seconds. Insanely good. Got Azan's Deliverance, which is great. Still a really good ult. I put that into gray tier. I don't think it's a top tier ult, but I think it's definitely a great tier ult. Has a huge knockback, and you can float pretty much from anywhere on the map and land wherever you need to. Really good. And then you got Nightfall for Vatu. Kind of keeps you stationary for a second, but it also does stun. It does, I think it's 800 damage or whatever. I'd put that into good tier. Just kind of your typical flank ult. Not too good, not too bad. Just comes down to getting a stun off, or at least getting, at the very least, getting a solid chunk of damage off. And that's for the champions that are not in the game. Like I said, 7, the new champion, is not going to be on this list because, like I said, he's not even revealed or not even in the game yet. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in a future video.